better die from my class of rebels, cause you know we came to blast when we smashed the metal. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it.
Yo, what's good? Welcome to another On Everything podcast show. I'm your host, Eugene D. Brown, aka Gina Jean Brown, and we got Ella Brown. Ella, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How's everything going, Jean?
Everything's going good. How was your week?
Week was long and busy. For those of us who still have, day job, multiple jobs. Yeah. But it was good.
Yeah, my week was kind of up and down. There was a lot going on. In the Black community. I was so excited, and I'm so happy to see that they found Officer Chauvin guilty of murdering George Floyd. I'm so happy about that.
Yes.
I still feel like there's a lot of work to be done. I don't think that's enough in no way. That's not the end result that we're looking for. We actually need more reform and more change in the Black community. So with that being said, that's going to be our topic for today. I wanted to get into policing in the Black community and what it means to be a Black person. And, I want to speak to some of those things, like what it means to be a Black person, to be pulled over by police or to end up in a situation, with police where they're being the aggressor. And a lot of times, it ends up with a loss of life. So, kudos to the jurors, out there in Minnesota who.
I appreciate the jurors because that was hard, right?
Absolutely. That was
all that publicity. They know how much is riding on it. You want to do the right thing. Can you be objective? Which is very difficult once you look at any human being treated inhumane the way he was treated. So I give a shout out to the jurors because I know that was not an easy task and they did their civic duty. So clap it up for the jurors.
Absolutely, clap it up for the jurors. They did a wonderful job. Again, like I was saying, I don't feel like that's it. I don't feel like that's where we stop. I don't feel like that's enough. There's been more than enough killings of Black people or people of color in Black communities by police that I think that we need a stronger answer, a stronger response, and more change needs to happen. At the same time, I do think that that's it's a small step in the right direction. Especially, considering that, this is probably the first time in my lifetime that I've seen an officer get found guilty of killing someone and, really getting charged with murder. We don't see it much. So, I thank God again, for that minor step, but it's so much more work that needs to be done. Like when you look at statistics like let's say the vaccine, right? The COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
Johnson & Johnson, there's 1% of people who had a negative reaction to it and they pulled it off the shelf. But when we look at these murders that happen in the Black community by the hands of police, it's more than 1%, and nothing is being done. There's no change happening. And we really need our legislative boards and our legislators to act on it, as opposed, to just waiting for, things to change on their own, because it's not going to happen.
And you're right, to piggyback on what you said, and that comes with, that piece of it comes with our voting, right?
Absolutely.
And that's a right that our ancestors fought for. I'm going to exercise my right, I want to vote more in local elections. We vote a lot of times on a national basis, but for things like this that matter, it really does matter who you put in office, and it matters with the training. So I say policies and training are some of the major things. Then you have to deal, you know what I mean, with the people's personality and all of that stuff, who you're hiring. They have to go through, cops have to go through psychological assessments and exams and ongoing thing, because I understand that they're dealing with, you know, a lot of them PTSD daily. And I'm talking about, you know, whether it's a good cop or bad cop, you're dealing with it. However, the problem is if they don't fix this training, and as you know too, when we think about even our past employers, everything was training. You had to go through some type of training to learn how to do this job or that job or some type of, you know, workshop or whatever. So that training matters. Yes. And every time you hear them say something, we know underneath line, underlying racism, right? So we already got that. The Black community is clear. We're not naive, you know, so we know that. We've been living that. But that training, they'll always go back to, this is how I was trained. This is how our police department trains it. So that is the training. How are you training your cops? You know what I mean? You already have to figure out how you're going to rid the bad cops. But how are you training, and what are your policies? You know, so that they can't use, oh, it was my training, it was my policy. No, enough.
Yeah, even driving in today, I heard one of the most disappointing statistics, or, you know, something about, you know, in regards to training. I heard that police only receive 8 hours of training on dealing with people with mental disabilities, which is, you know, really unfortunate, because again, most of the people who are being shot or murdered or caught up in situations with police are dealing with some sort of mental health issue. And, you know, I really think that, you know, that's unfortunate. It's definitely not enough. Like we definitely have to go a step further with this, you know, like 8 hours.
Everybody,
you know,
everybody's dealing with that mental health. I mean, your everyday citizen is dealing with mental health, right? We were talking about that last time. We were talking about when we had Tiffany Mathias here, you know, about seeking out, you know, counseling for, you know, mental health needs. So I totally agree. And you know what? Police officers have come on and said that, you know, that they need more mental health training and things like that. You have got to know you are a police officer. You are a servant to the people. You are in public service. It is your duty to ensure, or your supervisor's duty to ensure, that you are able to interact with people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all colors. You know, you're a public servant. So you have to have that training. You know, it's not enough to, you know, kill somebody or harm somebody and say, oh, well, you know, I thought he was reaching for a gun.
Yes.
You know, exactly. How many times we gonna hear the same thing? And what makes me so upset, and you tell me, Gene, especially as a Black man, is one, how do you feel about the cops? And if you have been, you know, pulled over, harassed by the cops, that's one thing I want to know. And then two, tell me that first.
Okay.
I know I'm starting to get mad about it now.
Absolutely. I've been pulled over. I've been harassed. I've actually been assaulted by police. You know, because of the lawsuit, I can't mention their names, but, you know, my case was settled, you know, outside of court. And, you know, I thank God that I came out alive. Like, you know, I had several injuries. I had to have back surgery. I had a brain hemorrhage. So I've dealt with police a lot, and I still deal with them now to this day. I could tell you a story. Just recently, I was going on my way to my house, and what's going on, Mike Paul?
Yeah, what's going on, Mike?
I was going to my house, and I had pulled over to park, and next thing I know, there was police lights behind me. Actually, no lights. They just came to my door, and they were like, "Oh, you didn't signal that you was parking." And I'm like, you know, like I just pulled over right inside of this big open space, and you know, and I parked. Yeah. It was 2:00 in the morning, and they started to ask for my information. They seen that I wasn't alone, and they left it alone. They you know, I had my girlfriend in the car. They were like, "Oh, you know, you with him?" And you know, because of her job, they just looked and were like, "Oh, you know what? We're gonna let you go. Go ahead upstairs." But you know, had she not been there, like it probably would have been a whole different situation.
They could have went
So
left.
yeah, and you know, I've been stopped. I've been told, you know, it's nothing worse than for, you know, as a black man to be told, sit tight, we'll be right back, because you know, you already know it's going to be escalated. You already feel like it's going to be escalated. At the time, when I got assaulted, I remember them asking me, you know, why is your heart beating so fast? And I'm like, because I'm nervous. Like, you know, it was 4 black people there, and you guys pulled us out of the car. Yeah, you know, you're asking me for my drink. Where's my drink when I wasn't drinking? And you know, like, you have me against the car right now. You know, so he proceeded to, you know, slam my head on the car, and you know, it just got worse from there. So like, yeah, you know, I've dealt with those encounters with police. Up until that point, you know, I kind of felt like it was normal, you know, for police, you know, it was okay.
Right.
Like, they're gonna rough me up a little bit, you know, and I just gotta live with it. When I was young, I probably tried to fight back, but you know, I remember, I think in high school, you know, I actually, you know, fought back, and you know, it just went, you know, got out of hand. But you know, dealing with police, you know, it's a really stressful situation. You actually, you know, get PTSD from that. Like, you know,
Yeah.
not only do I have to worry about anybody who's seeking to harm me, but I also have to worry about the people who's supposed to protect me.
Actually.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, so to be honest, like, when I deal with police, I don't feel protected. I never call them to get them involved with anything that I'm dealing with. You know, if I could get away, I'll get away. You know, like, I'm okay. I don't need, you know, and you know, it's just a constant harassment, especially when stop and frisk was, you know, legal. You know, that, you
Yeah.
know, like I you know, like they knew me by my first name. You know, hey Eugene, what are you doing on this side of Coney Island? You know, they were, you know, like, so it was a lot of harassment. I mean, I would be told sometimes when I'm hanging out with my friends, listen, if you guys are here when we come back, it's going to be invasion of the body snatchers. And you know, they would come back and search us and, you know, arrest us, bring us in. Sometimes we didn't have nothing on us and nobody was doing anything, but they still brought us in, and you know, just had that what you call a contact, you know, because that's what they were looking for at the time, just a contact with you, and they would keep tabs on you from that point. So you know, I just think that the whole system is based from slavery, when they would make their patrols to make sure the slaves are doing right, and now it's the same thing.
Correct. And that's what the police came out of, you know, and it's been like that ever since. And I do want to say, disclaimer, I do want to say, we are not talking about all police officers,
Exactly.
right? Because I know police officers. I have police officers in my family. And so we're not talking about everyone, because we know no matter what it is, no matter what population, occupation, or what situation it is, when something goes wrong, we know it's always the minority. It's always, we're clear on that. We know it's the minority. However, we are hearing, or we're seeing the minority, we're hearing them louder and louder. We're seeing them more often. Now, we know this stuff goes on all day, every day, but you know, with the cameras, the photos, the phones, uploading, quick to do that. That's why it's becoming, you know, such a shock to everybody, not us. You know, we understand. And so that's one thing that, you know, trips me out, is that I think that not all, but some white people think that we don't understand. We're crystal clear. You know, you don't need to school us or educate us about, you know, certain things with the police. We are clear, and we're clear about systemic racism. We are clear about discrimination. We're crystal clear. We've been going through this for years. Our parents, you know, our parents. So this is not anything new to us. But what is something that needs to change is, like you said, we do the protests, continue to do that. I'm a firm believer in that. But, you know, at some point, what they need to realize, if they haven't already, especially with George Floyd, rest in power, if they have not realized it already, you're going to have to do something now. Because now, I mean, people been on edge before, But the more attention, the louder it gets, the louder we're going to get. And so they need to understand that there is no going back. There is no blanket statement that you can give the Black community. You couldn't give it to us before.
Yeah.
You know, we were still just fighting before. But now you can't do it like you did before. Policies have to change. Trainings have to change. Bad cops, you got to get them up out of there, period.
Yes.
There's going to come to a point where we don't want to hear anything. You know, and so they need to understand that. And I know they understand the tension, and they feel the tension we're in now, because a lot of them are nervous as far as, oh no, you know, we went a little too far this time, or, you know, that one got out. Now what we going to do? Right? Because it's that feeling of that loss of power. Let's just be honest. That's exactly what it is. You feel like you're losing power. You feel like you're losing a world that you thought was yours. And so now you don't know what to do. So any tactic, they'll try any tactic, you know. And I want to say this, let me know if you want to comment on that, Gene, because I brought up I was looking at these years in the Floyd case, the 2nd-degree murder, 3rd-degree murder, 2nd-degree manslaughter. You want me to read them out?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go for him. So this is, and y'all, we're talking about, you know, basically discrimination and of course police brutality to Black and brown communities. And so we're looking at and these are for the people who can't visualize, you know, maybe riding in the car, listen to us. We're looking at the sentences, right? And the maximum sentence that it carries. So some of y'all may have already seen this, but let me read them again. Okay, you ready, Jane?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, 2nd-degree murder carries a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison. 3rd-degree murder has a maximum penalty of 25 years. 2nd-degree manslaughter has a maximum of 10 years. Sentencing guidelines call for sentences short of the maximum. So we know that the jury, thank you to the jury, convicted him on all 3. Now we're waiting on the judge. Though right now, based on the media that I found, I believe it was, what was it? June 16th, he's going to be sentenced.
Yes.
Yep, June 16th.
The highest charge.
And Chauvin is 45 years old. Just to give y'all perspective when we talk about the years. So based on this, 2nd-degree murder, 40 years. 3rd-degree murder, 25 years. 2nd-degree manslaughter, 10 years. Okay, you think he should get what, Gene? What's your verdict?
I mean, you know, like I want to go with the 40. Give me the max, but
yeah,
you know, I you know, like I would settle for 25. Let him get out when he's old. Let him learn his lesson. You know, like I don't, you know, like him dying in jail is not.
So he'll be 70. He'll be 70 with 25. Maybe I'll do 30. Maybe you can do a little 75. Maybe you come 75 and come out here and do some volunteer work and get back to our same communities that you cause pain to. Make that the rest of your life, right?
Yes, absolutely. Again, y'all watching the On Everything podcast. If y'all got any comments or anything, give us a call. The phone number is 646-309-0421. And also, we're sponsored by Sayings by Butter.
Sayings by Butter.
Sayings by Butter. Shout out to Butter. We got
shout out to Butter.
Yeah, we definitely got some merch coming out soon.
Yes.
You know, like we doing it up over here. But
yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying, I you know, like I think 25 is reasonable. Like you know, again, I don't. I'm just hoping they don't come back with 10 years, 2 years, something.
Well, they can't go. Yeah, manslaughter 10, but they said something about, it was something that I heard was like 12 and a half. I don't know where that came from, but
that's not
if
enough.
they do 10 years, and you know, everybody, which I'm sure he's clear too, is watching the judge. All right. So what are you going to hand down? He understands the climate. He understands the severity of the case. You understand how your decision is going to impact future actions out here that people take, white and Black.
Yeah, and you know, the crazy thing is, I just believe that, you know, like he should be made an example of. and maybe we'll set the bar right there where like where that happens at. But just for one cop out of all the murders that we seen, Eric Garner, Deontay Wright, Toledo, the young girl that
the Andrew Brown.
Like Andrew Brown,
Ma'Khia Bryant. And it's a whole list. It just goes on and on and
Mike
on.
Brown,
How many times we got to go on and on and on and see our people? And let me be clear, we're not asking for anything. You understand? We are citizens. This is our land like it is your land. We're not asking you for anything. We're telling you to be mindful, and you better implement change immediately. Or then, we don't know what's going to happen. But I'm not, that asking was done a long time ago. It's demands. These are our demands. This is a list of our demands. Same thing with Black Wall Street. This is a list of our demands. Now, how are we going to move to this point?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And when you think about it, they operate off of our tax dollars. That's our money. We all pay taxes. We're taxpaying citizens. And they operate off of this, and it still is just no respect given. No respect given. I mean, I like I said, I had several encounters with police where it was just like, yo, at the end of the day, I'm a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just a man. I'm a Black man, and you guys, just have me in, just an uncomfortable situation. And when I was young and I was out in the street doing things, I understood it. Like I'm like, okay, you guys got me, I'm guilty. But now, as a full-grown man and trying to keep the peace and living my life, for God, it's still like,
hallelujah.
You guys still want to, harass me, and it's like, what do you want?
And why?
Yeah, exactly.
What is it? What is it about my Black brothers that you, number one, fear so much, but yet want to be like so bad? So let's just be honest. Because if you didn't, and they were just a regular person, I don't have no animosity, I don't have a problem. Well, then why are they always a target? What insecurities are you dealing with, Mr. Police Officer? The minorities, not the majority. What insecurities and life challenges are you dealing with that you need to take care of so that you don't feel threatened by somebody else who's not even thinking about you?
Exactly. Like why are we threats? Like why?
Why?
What did I do to become a threat to you? Like for the most part, like I'm a pretty fun person, so like I live my life, having fun, laughing, and just chilling out. But at the end of the day, it's like, I didn't do nothing. So what do you want? What do you want? I remember, this is a crazy story, but I remember one time I was rushing home because I had to go to the bathroom, and I ran a light. I got pulled over.
There it is.
So I get pulled over, and me and the officers had a good laugh though this time. Like, so it wasn't as bad as it could be. Like they actually were decent cops. I explained, hey, listen, like I gotta go to the bathroom. Like I didn't want to. I'm coming from a restaurant. I didn't want to use the bathroom at the restaurant. Listen, I just need to get home. And they were laughing at me, and it was just a good, it was a good positive one. As opposed to, so many encounters that, end up with you in the back of a cop car or end up, dead or, in a bad or injured, Let
me ask you about this.
Sure.
Ma'Khia Bryant, the young lady, rest in power, Ma'Khia, 16, who attacked the two people with the knife. Now, did you see whatever they have out now, right? We know it's more and some may come out later, but the clip that they got out now with her, you saw it, Gene?
No, I didn't see it. Nope.
Okay, I need you to see it because in that clip, but I'll tell you, okay, so let me just brief you. In that clip, she was, you know, she had a knife and all of that stuff, going to, you know, attack somebody, whatever the situation was. And I'm not even gonna say, because I don't even know the situation, right? That's just the clip that we saw. But when you see the cop come out, okay, so the cop comes over, you know, telling him to stop, whatever else he's saying, and then he shoots. But the problem with that is, okay, so I know they said, okay, well, you may be able to look at it like cops have to make a split decision, and that really was a split decision. He was in the midst of it, and before you knew it, she was shot. I think, I don't know, she was shot 4 times. I'm gonna look and see. But the problem, she was shot 4 times. So the problem with that I have is you shot her, right? Again, where's your taser? Again, let me ask you this. I mean, do police officers fight? Or what happens once you get the badge? Is it just straight to a gun? You know, what is it that you, I mean, you have all kinds of training of different holds, takedowns that you can do to a suspect or somebody who was involved in the altercation. Why is your nerves so, you know, rattled that when you see African Americans engaged in whatever fight or whatever stuff that we, you know, grew up around, you know, when you had to pull get your friends, you know, don't do that, whatever that we do all the time, jump in fights, you know, why is it that you go straight to a gun and you didn't use any of those tactics? Now you got the same people walking around, and that's what I want to pull that guy. Remember that guy who he was walking in the middle of the street with the gun, with the long rifle, and cops just standing there. He walking down the street, but yet you do a split-second decision, and you cannot take this young lady down and prevent any death, any harm, which has me, I'm concerned about your training. If I was a chief, I'd be like, you know, if you don't have any other way to take them down, we got a major problem. What do you think about that?
And I mean, you know, like I listened to, you know, a few different things about that. I've heard like both sides of the argument. Like, you know, some police. So I'll give you my personal opinion in a second, but they're from the police perspective, they're saying that it's called a idle threat, and what they, you know, they had to shoot her because it was in defense of life.
Okay, but one shot per day.
Okay, so I'm not understand. Okay, so I mean, I understand you a little bit, right? I'm trying to listen to what what they said.
So what they were saying was because she had a knife and because
deadly weapon, right?
She was in motion with trying to stab somebody, that they shot her because it was in defense of life.
But you know what? When you watch it, the girl went to the ground. She had been pulled over by another young lady or something. It was 2 young ladies by the car at that point. And then the girl was on the ground. So she was away from what I saw already. Yes. I get you. Because I understand what they're saying. I understand it was a threat. I understand, you know, you have to make those split decisions and all that. But I don't understand why it's always to kill, because even if you didn't mean to, cop, and you're like, oh my God, you know, I made a split decision now, I messed up this, that, and the other. Even if you were really genuine in that, I still feel like you need to check yourself, because had it been somebody not of color, would it have produced the same result?
No, and again, I thought that was excessive force. One, you shot the girl 4 times. Like, it's not like you did one shot, one leg shot, and you tried to take her life. Like, you didn't.
And I heard they did say, well, if you shoot him in the leg or arm, because that was a question on one of the news stations, then, you know, why didn't you do that? And one of the cops was saying or one of the, you know, former chiefs or something was saying that you risk, you know, it ricocheting or something and hitting somebody else and causing further damages and the other. But like you said, the 4 shots. I mean, I know it's quick. 4 shots?
4. And when
for a knife?
Right. So if you say that if you aim at the leg and you risk ricocheting, wouldn't shooting at somebody, period, risk ricocheting?
But they also said, I found this out, that he was, and I'll look it up too, he was a sniper in the military.
Really?
Yes, and that's why they were saying, so they were wondering how he got such a good shot. I'm looking it up to make sure, but yeah.
Four shots in a little girl's chest. She's 16 years old.
16.
That could have been any one of our daughters having a fight with somebody.
And she was Jim John. She the one who called the police.
Yeah.
And she was the one who called the police.
Right. That's what they said. Yes.
She was getting jumped.
And that's what makes you say, what are we gonna do? Gene, because we can't, just like you don't call the police, I don't call the police. Ain't nobody calling the police. I mean, we just handling things on our own.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. We up against it right now.
Yes.
We got to take a quick break. It'll be a few minutes, and we'll be right back with you.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
And I'm gonna still look it up. I can't hear you. On mute. Oh, the voice.
Hello?
I can't hear you, Gene. Now it's on mute. Now
Can you hear
talk.
me?
Nah.
Hello?
Hold on.
Yeah, it's kind of low. I see. I can't hear you too loud.
Yeah, he said something about his volume. Like I see him wording it, but I can't hear him.
All right.
But ladies and gentlemen, while they working on that, while they working on the sound, we're going to go ahead and get into, we were talking about Ma'Khia, the young lady, Ma'Khia Bryant, the 16-year-old who was shot. And so if you're just tuning in.
And we're back. Can you hear me?
I was still talking. Well, good. So yeah, I was just saying, about Ma'Khia, because I was looking for that cop. And if it wasn't a sniper, he had some type of training. I was looking for exactly what it was. But go ahead, Gene.
All right, we're back on the On Everything podcast. If y'all got any questions, anything you want to say, the number is 646-309-0421. It's the host, Gene the Dream Brown, with She Is Ella Brown. Sponsored by Sayings by Butter Clothing. Yeah, I just think that, it's really unfortunate for something like that to happen to a 16-year-old kid getting jumped. You call police for help. And, so many times, like, that's the story in Black America that, we call police into situations and they overreact, or they actually feel like, we're the threat. And she was the caller. She was the person that needed help. And you didn't know whether, it was a kid with a mental disability, anything, like, and, you just reach for your gun like that and, take somebody's life.
Even though we know she didn't have one, but yeah, I see your point is you don't know what's going on with that person.
Yeah.
Use caution. Because her mom came and spoke on TV. She didn't mention anything about that, but she did say a lot of beautiful things about her daughter. She was a Christian. She wanted to remember the good things. She didn't want to focus on totally what happened, because she said she was still in shock. And so we can understand, and I think she had 5 kids and now she has 4. And she said, just saying that, it feels strange, her saying that.
Yeah, I see. Kwani said, why not tase her? Well, when I was watching the the police talk about the situation, and hearing different police captains talk about it, they said that they weren't able to use a taser because you don't know what the reaction is going to be to the taser. Sometimes people get tased and they still follow through with whatever they were doing. But on the other hand, this was the caller. She was the person getting jumped, and she pulled out a knife to defend herself because she was getting jumped by girls. So again, I think that like some more talking, needed to be done. Like, and that's the problem with police de-escalating situations, because they have to do a better job at de-escalating a situation. Like you don't like sometimes like they run into a situation and they make it worse, as opposed to like I called you in here to help me to de-escalate this situation, and they come in, oh, she's attacking her, let's shoot her. No, find out what's happening, talk to the people, like because there's ways to talk to people to get their attention. And I'm pretty sure a 16-year-old girl seeing police coming would probably give her cause for pause, from stabbing somebody.
I don't know because but when she came running out, see, we don't know what happened, because by the time the video that we saw, when she was out, the cop was already there. So she would have seen. However, when you're in fight mode or defense mode or whatever it is, you may not be paying attention to, what's going on around you. But I mean, I think the main thing is too, and you really have to, if you're going to really do a holistic view and you're really going to take some of the emotion out and be fair, then you really have to, I keep going back to the cop, you have to check your cops' mental health. Now, we sitting here talking about everybody else's mental health, which is true, but your cops, murder, robbery, called names, all that stuff daily, right? As far as if you're talking about in defense of the cops, what they have to go through daily. So we get it. It is not an easy job. Some of them may have to drag themselves out of bed every morning. And then, like they say, when you walk outside, you never know if you're coming back. Well, when my Black brothers and sisters walk outside, we never know if we're coming back. How about that? But you do need to check their mental health on a daily basis with the stuff that they go through. And so that's my next thing, is wondering, how do they do that? How do you check your officers to make sure, hey, if this officer had a bad week, they're already temperamental, whatever the situation is, do we really need you to go out today? And if you go out, like, how can we ensure that, the week hasn't taken a toll and you getting ready to take it out on somebody else? I just like to know what kind of procedures and things they have in place for that.
Exactly. And, I talk about the same thing when it comes to people coming out of the prisons, when, like, it's the same thing for people coming out of the military. Like you need to get
military too. That's right.
You need to be deprogrammed, because what you're used to every day is what is the way you're programmed to think. So like for people coming out of prison, okay, like some of them get caught up in that same kind of mentality. Same thing with the military, like they come home without being deprogrammed, and there has to be a deprogrammed system. And also for police, like, okay, like he might have had a bad day or had a bad encounter with a few bad apples somewhere along the line, but at the like the mentality has to be checked. Like you need to be deprogrammed. You need to be you need to be counseled, to talk to somebody that's able to assist you, or, like be able to point you in the right direction. And, too many times, like, we get stopped, we get arrested, or we end up in a situation where we end up being the targets.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for us Black people in the community. We should probably seek out counseling, because the things that we encounter, will change your thought pattern. like for me, I don't trust police. So
Right.
I don't care what the situation is, like I don't trust them. If I was in a car accident and they came to help me, like I'm still like, just get me out of here, get me to the hospital. I don't want, like I don't want nothing. I don't want no smoke,
Right.
And that's unfortunate because again, I'm a taxpaying citizen.
Yep.
I encounter, like I should be able to, I should feel protected when police come around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not running from them, but at the end of the day, it's just very, very unfortunate to see like the tactics and, like the things that they use to, basically oppress us. And it's still, and it's going on, for eons. This, this journey for Black people in America is, like a really,
a never-ending saga.
Yes, it's just one thing after the next, one thing after the next, and one thing after the next. And like I'm tired of seeing our brothers and sisters die over situations that could be talked out, that could be talked down. Like I'm a talker, so I feel like I could talk my way out of any situation. No matter what I walk into, I feel like, okay, I can talk my way out of this because I'm a talker. And I wasn't always a talker. I was a watcher first, which made me be, which gave me the ability to talk because I was a watcher first. So now I know I studied you, and now I know how to talk to you, and I know how to deal with you. And I feel like there needs to be more talkers in the police community. Like, like they need
like a communication skills class, interpersonal skills, all of that stuff, which they probably do. However, we need to go sit in one of them trainings. That's what we need to go. We need to go sit in one of them trainings and do a podcast with one of them trainings, because I really need to understand that. And not only are you causing additional harm to our community, right? We already have concerns in our community, right? We're trying to stop our own, Black on Black crime and things like that. You just come in and exacerbate it, and we know that comes from, same thing, the racism, the economics, all how it was designed. Like, we're clear on that, but that needs to change. I just got to figure out. So one thing I want to think, what do you think? And if we knew, it would be over, right? But what are some solutions? What are some solutions we can do, even some that you haven't heard, that may be effective in trying to end this, police brutality or all these deaths of our Black and brown people?
I mean, one thing that one of my friends who is a pastor does with the people at his church is, if you come into like their if you get on the board, or if you once you join as a member and you become an active member, what they do is he sends all of his staff on a trip to Disney, right? But on this trip to Disney, they go there to get the Disney training, which like teaches them customer service.
Yeah.
So I believe that I don't know if it's too extreme, but I believe that policing should be a form of customer service.
Absolutely. You serving the public.
Exactly. So
you're a servant.
I believe they need that type of training to, and I'll say this for myself, and like there was times where I did stuff wrong, and I had good cops tell me, oh, okay, listen, you're doing this, go upstairs.
Yeah.
To keep me out of trouble.
Yeah.
I've sat there with a police officer while somebody else called police on me, and he's talking to me. So he's like, I know you're not doing nothing wrong right now, but you should hear this. And, I was able to overhear the radio call with my description. And, he's like, just go upstairs, man. Like, to avoid all of this. Cause, I know you're not doing nothing, but, You standing here in a place where, you know, like things happen at, and people call police on you for that. So, and I, you know, like I was always grateful for that guy, you know what I mean? Because like I learned, okay, like not all cops are bad cops, but there are, you know, like I've encountered a lot of bad cops. I know cops who planted stuff on people. I know people who went to jail for stuff that was planted on them, and, you know, just coming home from jail, you know, from when I was young. And I feel like, you know, just teaching them customer service, de-escalating situations, to be able to talk to people and treat people like people, as opposed to, you know, treating everybody like your enemy.
Yeah, and I think, well, definitely customer. So, I mean, I always agree with that. And then I know they have, you know, de-escalation tactics and techniques, but I really want to know what they are, because what we're seeing, they're not effective. Now, we can't say they're not effective as a whole, because we really don't see the police force as a whole. You know, we'll see these incidents when it happens, you know, to our community. You do see some, you know, police officers where they'll do funny things on the web, and they're in the community and trying to interact with the people and really trying to build. And you'll see police officers who've even grown up in that community and become police officers. So hats off to them. You know, I really appreciate them, because maybe you need to talk to your fellow police officers and show them, be a model and show them how it's done. And that is one other thing too. They were talking about the police officers not living in the communities from which they serve.
That's important. I believe
so you
that.
are, you know, I mean, that's the first thing we're going to look at. You know, you're not even from here. That's the first thing we're going to look at, because if you don't live here, no matter what your situation is, you know, you may have a good reason being a police officer not living there. Maybe you're taking care of family, you got to live, you know, in another neighboring town. But the Black community and the brown community is going to look at it like, you don't care about us, you don't even want to live here. I know you don't want to live here, you know, and it's already, we're thinking that about you all from our experiences. And then you just, it just becomes to, you know, stereotypes and, you know, miscommunication, misinterpretation on both sides. You know, so maybe we need to have more town halls. You think maybe more town halls where the police officers are coming and sitting down with the citizens and just doing it like a normal type thing, ongoing.
Absolutely. And, you know, like that's an important thing right there. Just having police from the same neighborhood, you know, like people that grew up, because if you think about it, every area, like I'm from Brooklyn, right? So every area in Brooklyn, people speak their own language, basically. Their own, you know, like you have your own way of talking, your own way of being. So for a police officer who's not from there to walk into a situation and not, you know, like it creates a language barrier of
already.
So it's like, all right. Like you don't even understand why I'm here or what, you know, what I'm upset about. And, you know, like your reaction is to pull out a gun.
Yeah.
You know,
they're not invested.
Exactly.
They're not invested.
So I do think that, town halls will help. Town halls will help.
And I mean, like town halls, like, you know, we've seen them before, right? And they'll pop up here and there. But my thing is, it's just like everybody's saying, it has to be ongoing. You know, like there needs to be some ongoing town halls every state or something. And then now, you know, this virtual, even though we're getting back into, you know, being able to go out and things like that, everybody is more familiar with Zoom and things like that, or whatever you use, Teams, you know, whatever, Google, whatever. I mean, you can have people join your town and continue the conversation like that. And then, you know, meet in person. And not only that, look at the relationships you're going to build. Look at the relationships you're going to build. And I'm talking about for cops, and I'm talking about for the communities. But we do have to be open. And there's so much anger.
You
and
have
there's
a lack
so much.
Yes.
Yeah,
you have
go ahead.
A lack of trust. You have you know.
That has to be the first point on the agenda. That's all you got to be doing with these town halls for the next, I don't know how long, is working on that trust. Number one, for us to even join a town hall. And then see if it's a benefit or it's worth it to hear you out. And then you may want to see if we're going to be receptive to coming. And so we have to figure this out, because we all have to live here is the bottom line. We all have to live here.
Like this, right? I'm on the anti-violence board in my community, right? So when something happens, you know, like we march around for a few days and You know, a lot of times there's no result though. You know, like it's to no result. Because
do you think it's because you're not doing it? Do y'all do it consistently, or what you think?
It's consistent, but it's only when something happens.
Yeah, isn't that the way it is?
Exactly. So now, you know, we spend time reacting instead of being proactive. Reaching out to people before things escalate, before things happen. And on that board, we got a lot of, you know, airs in the street. We basically, you know, like understand what's happening. But at the same time, you know, you have a lack of trust between people who are associated with that and, you know, the actual people who are out there being violent.
Yeah.
So, communication is probably the biggest thing when it comes to healing, you know, like mending those fences in the Black community. It would be communication first, and then, you know, like you gotta reach out and you gotta be out there where the people are at.
Yeah, you have to.
Because
you have to. They gotta see, because nobody wants to try to even give you a chance or see if, you know, maybe I could give this police officer a chance. If you're acting like you don't even want to be near us, you don't even want to be in our community, if you're just doing it for a job, or you really don't want to be here, or it's not invested. And we're looking at what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? We look at what you're saying. Are you speaking truthful? Are you really trying to get to know me? Or is this just because your chief or your supervisor said, hey, go out, I want y'all to, you know, beat the street and go ahead and, you know, just communicate with some people today? Like, we want to know if it's really you. We don't want anything fake. We want to know the real deal.
Exactly. And when you count in the Black on Black crime, you know, along with that, like, it's like police are looking at our situation like, hey, y'all don't respect each other. You know what I mean? Like, y'all don't value each other's lives. So now, like, you're telling an outsider to come in and police that situation. So, you know, again, we, you know, like sometimes some of this, like, we gotta look into the mirror, you know, into the mirror. And, you know, like, you have to be the change that you want to see. Because, you know, every day, like, there's like Kwani said, there's senseless killings every day. Every day you know, like, Black people are killing Black people. And then on top of that, you know, we're being killed by police. So, you know, and it's a part of a slow genocide that we actually, as a people, gotta come together and we gotta stop it. So it's just like in our communities, you see families of Chinese people who come open a Chinese restaurant, cleaners, whatever. They just live peacefully and make money off of it, you know?
Because they sacrifice. And our problem is, even me and you generation, Gene, and our younger generation, we a lot of times don't have appreciation for the sacrifice that our grandparents and our great-grandparents went through, and the struggle. You know, when they were doing the bus boycotts, what would they do? They were walking miles to work and from home. You know, and then you had, you know, some white people were helping them carpool, and then you had, you know, some other members of the community carpooling, but they would walk, you know, for the bus boycott. Now, if we try to tell some of our people that now, listen, we're gonna boycott the metro. Well, out here in DC is the metro, in Maryland is the metro, or public transportation. I don't know if everybody would be with us. They would be like, well, look, I'm getting on the bus, so I'm gonna take an Uber. If we said you had to walk, some of our people like, oh no, I ain't walking. You know, I ain't walking today. You know, I can't, you know. I think we got to learn how to get back to that sacrificing for what we want, because we have the power. That has never changed. We have the power, but the people always have the power. We just have to be together, like you said, and we have to get back into that sacrifice. If we really want change, it is sacrifice, and it is not sacrifice just today. It's sacrifice over time. And that's where people, you know, it's hard. People got jobs and other priorities. And so then it becomes less important, but they want the fight to go on. But, you know, in order to do that, we all got to figure out how to do our part and work together.
Well, I think that's absolutely the difference between what's happening now, the movements that are happening now, as opposed to before. Because you know, like we've seen on video, Black people getting killed, Rodney King get beat up. We seen it.
Yep.
We seen it all.
So it did.
But at the end of the day, it didn't spur those kind of movements because everybody was busy with their own lives. But because of the pandemic and us being home and everybody watching it, and that goes for, not just Black people, white people were out there, Chinese people were out there, Spanish people. So it wasn't just a Black thing, it was an everybody thing who said, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
You actually sat there and watched a man kneel on a man's throat for 9 minutes.
9 minutes and what was it, 26 seconds?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Some of us can't even kneel for 2 minutes because we got bad knee. What are you talking about? 9 minutes, you on my neck. Can you imagine? And can you imagine? I'm just thinking about the jury having to watch that over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about don't think that some of them are not experiencing trauma from this.
Yeah.
I'm sure, and probably going to need some counseling just from the stress of it all.
Yes, absolutely. And there's people at home who watched it and it probably was too much for them.
Yes.
So that's what spurred these movements, because everybody's home, everybody can see it, and now it's the outrage. But this has been going on for years in America,
We have to find a way, like I said, and everything that we're talking to as far as solution, we have to find a way to come together. We are stronger together. We are more powerful together. We have to figure out how to love one another in our communities so that we can all go out and show up in force. And when I mean show up in force, I'm talking about we are all together. There is no breaking this bond. There is unity. We have to become, our community has to become a bond that can never be broken. We are brothers and sisters. We love each other. Stop hating on one another. And let's get some work done. And whatever you can do is what you can do, because some people might be able to do more than others. I understand, depending on your life and your situation, but we can all do something. But we have got to get ourselves together. We really do. And we have got to really be for one another and have each other's back like we're supposed to.
And absolutely. And just like, Kwani said, it's just sad, it's sad that something like that could actually happen, in America, land of the free, home of the brave,
Yeah, she also said a lot of Black people are used to struggling and hustling, that they no longer want to sacrifice anything because they felt they sacrificed enough. And see, that is true, because that is one of the problems. Even when you think, me and you, Gene, even if we work all this week, both of us do multiple things. And then we feel like, oh, I can't do another thing. You and I've done enough. I mean, we've done enough, but if it's something we need to do we need to get up and do it? And see, that's the thing, thinking that we sacrifice enough. Have you? When you look back at history, have we sacrificed enough compared to what our people have gone through? We've had it pretty easy as far as, life and things that we want to do.
Especially when you consider the things that people sacrifice for us.
Oh yeah.
People lost their lives so we could have the ability to vote.
Yeah.
Just to vote, not even
white and black. White and black lost their lives for that.
And not even to live, just to vote.
Just to vote.
Just to have a voice in what happens in our communities. And and when you think about how many people don't vote.
Yeah, I know.
And then we wonder why things like, these situations happen. It's because we're not putting the right type of people in office. We didn't take time to get to know the candidates. We didn't take time. We just, everything Democrat. Oh, everything,
Right. Give me a Democrat. I'm voting straight Democrat.
Exactly. When they do vote. And that's only when you vote. And that would be probably every 4 years, not every 2 years.
Yep. We got to get more involved. And we can do it. And it's hard. And I know we just got to get more involved. We got to come up with a plan to get, we got to come up with a plan to get more involved. And that's really all it is. The more involved we get, the more we'll be able to communicate with each other, and the more we'll be able to focus on the same goals and come together, and then everything will come from there.
That is absolutely 100%. And Kwani said she was an adult when she realized that local elections really mattered.
Me too. I didn't know how important they were years ago. We always just voted for the presidency if we voted, but I didn't know. We running up against the clock too, Gene.
Absolutely. We're gonna wrap.
We can talk about this forever.
Yes, absolutely. We're gonna have another conversation about this. We're about to wrap it up. I thank y'all all for watching. I appreciate every one of y'all. I want you to know that God justifies the called. He does not call the justified. Just remember that, all right? God bless y'all. That's On Everything podcast for this week. I appreciate y'all. God bless.
God bless.
Yo.